Hi Andy, thanks for joining us today. Would you like to start by giving us a short introduction to the People's Music Store and how it came about?
Of course, yeah. Well, People's Music Store is a digital music service with a twist. In essence, we're just like a standard a la carte MP3 store, but with all the on-site editorial and promotion activity handed completely over to the people.
Yeah,
So users of the site can become storekeepers and create, design, and run their own music stores, writing reviews, news, and anything they like, really. It kind of adding real context and genuine recommendations to the music,
yeah,
while obviously connecting and chatting to other users and their customers. People can leave comments, etc. The really cool thing is that for every sale that these storekeepers generate, the storekeeper who actually generated the sale earns 10% of the retail price
yeah.
in the form of points that can then be used to purchase more music from the site. So it's effectively, we're trying to give people an attractive route to free legal music. And as much as it may not save the industry in one big leap, we're certainly hoping it gives people a very new and engaging option.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I didn't stay clear in the last podcast because I said that the storekeepers would get a 10% cut of the sales, but that
Yeah,
is in the form of points.
that
And
is in the whole point.
that seems like a really good way to keep away spammers that were looking to make actual money out of it and
Yeah,
to
sure.
actually draw in real fans that can build real quality content on the site and create some good stores, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's the points that they earn. It then kind of helps create more revenues and more royalties because obviously it encourages people to then therefore generate more royalties for the labels and for the content owners.
Yeah,
How it came about was basically the whole service is the brainchild of Jed Day, who's our MD.
yeah,
And we both worked together at Warp Records. Jed was there for many years, and I was there for about 3 or 4 years. And we basically ran their incredibly innovative download service, Bleep.com. This again was another Jed creation.
yeah, I remember that.
Bleep was basically the first digital music store to be born from a label playing host to their entire catalogue in DRM-free MP3 format. So it's the big, as you can imagine, especially back then, because it launched in January of 2004,
Yeah,
and it's a big step, for a label to do that, kind of putting it out there in MP3.
yeah.
And we were lucky enough. We took Bleep to win a BT Digital Music Award in 2006, which was really pleasing because we beat the likes of iTunes and some other big names at the time.
Yeah.
So that was a great achievement for us. But basically during our time at Bleep, it was very clear that we were running a great digital music source for dance, electronica, and some of the more closely linked genres. But as we began expanding the catalogue, it became evident that in order to provide the same great service across all genres and a much broader selection, we'd need to employ hundreds of editorial staff in order to do so. And as much as we're massive music fans ourselves with very varied and wide tastes, we're not going to claim to be the experts across the board. So this was where Jed decided the best way to achieve great recommendation service would be to utilise those who knew the most about the music, which is, of course, the fans. So we wanted to tap into their collective knowledge of the passionate music fans and tastemakers, giving rise to what we've kind of termed the super advocates.
That's such an interesting concept. And now, basically, after a few months where you had the Beggars Group, I think, was signed on, and
Yep.
a lot of indie labels were signed on. And now
Yep.
you finally brought on a major with Universal Music.
Correct, yeah.
And I remember reading a while ago an NME article by Sophie Hammer in February, I think it was. They gave the People's Music Store a very positive outlook and review. But it said that in order to prove its commercial worth and prove that it could go mainstream, it had to partner with a major label to see if the model would actually translate with a mainstream audience.
Yeah.
How do you think that will work?
Well, basically, I mean, it's. I mean, we're really glad to have them on board, and it will probably widen our audience massively. But I think because thanks to our unique model, it'll be without detriment to the service because obviously we don't want the current independent and more niche content we have to disappear to the
Exactly,
back,
yeah.
and that won't happen because People's Music Store is entirely democratic, and all music now has a fair and level playing field with which to be promoted by our storekeepers.
Yeah.
So I think obviously for our model to work, we just need to be able to license as much music as possible so that anyone can come along and create their own store. They've got to have the choice of music they want. So I think adding Universal is just a big step in the right direction for us.
Yeah.
And it's still, I don't think it'll have any negative effect on the catalogue we currently hold.
The People's Music Store kind of restores the concept of the storekeeper as a knowledgeable member of the community, just as the vinyl storekeeper was back in the day, and it still is in kind of a few selected stores around the UK. Basically, I was wondering what the demographic is on the site, if you have any data on that, because it'd be quite interesting to see whether young people are interested in this concept, or whether it's a more mature audience.
We don't really collect. It's very
the data, yeah.
In terms of the actual personal information of the user.
Yeah.
To sign up, obviously, it's just an email address and password.
Sure.
But basically, I mean, we've always forged really, really close relationships with even when we were running Bleep, and especially now. So we keep in very close contact with our users. So I do know that it's quite a wide range. We're actually attracting a slightly older audience than we initially thought we would. Yeah. But then I think that's just because our PR hasn't reached the younger crowd yet.
Yeah.
So we are getting, sort of mid to late 20s is fairly common. It's a good mix of both sexes, male and female. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've got people in the 30s using it. We've got teenagers using it. But I'd say it's mid to late 20s at the moment.
Yeah.
People who probably been into music for quite a few years, and have forged really high opinions of their strong opinions of the music they're into.
Definitely.
We're seeing little scenes already forming around stores, because I mean with the way the model works is you find the stores you like and you follow them, and then you can end up sparking up conversations with them and just following the catalogue they're adding, the news they're writing, and the reviews they're putting in their stores.
Oh, cool. It's definitely interesting to see that there are a lot of young people as well on the site, which is really cool.
I think the bigger we get as well, and the more people we reach, I think that crowd will start getting a bit younger as well. I think, again, it's just that we haven't reached to them yet.
It's just a word of mouth thing, yeah, definitely.
Yes, but basically up until February, it was completely word of mouth.
Yeah.
And we gently started our PR as the content was there, and now this is where we're really going to start giving it a big push.
And I was wondering, is it a kind of a nightmare with the licensing agreements for the territorial restrictions that there are to some parts of the catalogue, or is it quite easy to manage that kind of part of it?
It's certainly not easy to manage by any means. I mean, the service itself is accessible worldwide, and obviously we always try and license as much of the music as possible for the world. But there's always going to be exceptions to this, and sometimes you can't get the world rights. So most of our content deals are worldwide, but some begin as, say, UK only, and then we roll out to further territories as much as we can. Also, it depends on if we do a deal with a certain distributor or label, they may only themselves own certain rights, and then we have to find someone else for the same product to get rights for another territory. So it's a very, very complex issue which I have to deal with primarily, and it can be tough. Like some of the deals you do, it's fine, you get world, and you just get it from one source. Others you might have to go to 2 or 3 different sources just to get one product for the world. Yeah. So but as I said, wherever we can, we do world, and the service is a world service.
Well, just to finish, I guess, thank you very much for being on. And I was wondering, in a time where it's getting so hard to find a unique formula, you have found a specific way to market music that nobody else is offering at the moment. Yeah. And the uniqueness of your proposition is demonstrated by the interest that you've had by all sorts of media, from the New York Times to The Guardian to Music Week. And I was wondering, what are you planning to work on now to expand your user base, and what are your plans for the near future, basically? Okay, well, thanks for the kind comments. I mean, it's always pleasing to hear that our outreach is working and getting to the right people, of course. We've been focused on creating the best web application we can for our storekeepers and for their customers, and obviously licensing the right content to the service. We're just about there now, and things are looking like quite rosy. So we have a great PR company working behind us, Spark PR, and we'll be working with them to continue pushing the numbers up now. We have obviously Facebook and Twitter integration already, which enables our storekeepers to really promote their own stores effectively, bringing in not only more people for us, but for themselves also. Yeah. Other than that, we're concentrating on securing obviously the other 3 majors and filling in as many gaps in the catalogue as possible. Yeah. So we can really start shouting about People's Music Store to the public. We have obviously a few more exciting and interesting developments
and possible partnerships up our sleeves. I'm going to keep quiet about for now because they're not quite there yet.
Sure.
But it's a really exciting place to be at the moment, and not only at People's Music Store but in digital music in general. So I think the first thing is we're looking at adding a lot of great new features and making sure our offering is something that stays current, exciting, and making sure that we continue to forge close, productive relationships with our labels, our artists, and obviously our storekeepers.
Well, it was great to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Hope to have you on again at some point soon, seeing how the company is getting on. And
Excellent.
thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers.